Hey Brittany, it's Mike with Real Life Photography. Thanks for sending over some photos, and I hope that I can help you out. We're just gonna go one by one. I've done a quick edit over here, but we'll go through the edit as well. I just wanted to play with the images beforehand. So here's the original that you sent me, and I like this leading line here. The one thing that I noticed and I was drawn to right away was how his hand was chopped up, but we should be able to fix that in crop. I mean, the general rule of thumb, and it's just a rule of thumb. It's not really a real rule. You can do what you want, but is not to cut off any appendages or crop at a joint. So I think we'll move the crop up to about right here, just below this hand, and might straighten it just a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and apologize if my kids run into the room while I'm doing this. They'll most likely be really loud, but I'll pause the video and we'll come back to it as soon as I get them to settle down. So I like this. It was exposed. I think excellent exposure. No issues there. But like I said, this is the one thing that I was drawn to. So I sent you via Facebook message a preset that I created, and that's the preset I'm going to use on all these. I don't know what presets you currently have, but I figured I'd just send you this one, and you can kind of go. You can use it at your will. Just please don't distribute it to anybody. Alright, so I'll apply the preset. I'm going to drop exposure down just a little bit. And that was just kind of to recover a little bit here in the back. Let me see if I take it up a little bit. Drop shadows down. Yeah, we'll drop the shadows down. And then I think I'm going to use a brush just to add a little bit of exposure to his face. Your presets from Lightroom might come with some of these dodge and burn stuff. I mean, dodging just adds a little bit of exposure. You can see it's at 0.5, which is sometimes just a little bit too much, but we can always drop it down a little bit. And then I might lift the shadows a little bit on his face. And then now I will crop it. And ultimately, I'm going to try to use the rule of thirds. It's just a guide, really, but I'm going to try to use the rule of thirds to drop this onto his eye. So I'm going to crop up to about right there, I think. I might bring this down just a little bit. And that sits right there. I might add actually just a little bit of warmth. A little bit. Maybe drop down the luminance just a tiny bit. So hopefully that helps you on this particular image. I mean, editing is always kind of subjective, and I mean it ultimately just comes down to whatever you like or don't like. I tend to warm everything up and kind of darken it just a little bit. So that was the first image. This is similar exposure here on this image. You're probably, if you're anything like me with your children, you're always having to take the picture just as fast as you possibly can, especially when they're doing something either cute or interesting. So a lot of times, I mean, you'll shoot at a goofy angle, or luckily a lot of the cameras, if you underexpose or overexpose, you can kind of save it. Exposure is good again. I wouldn't change anything about the exposure, but obviously it's at an angle, so we're just going to move that up here. And I was using the horizon back there, actually this little line that goes right through his head is what I used to angle it up. If you were to set it somewhere on, on the line that's going across on the seam of the dock, then it probably would have been a little bit more angled like that. So that's not where we want to be. So I think we'll just leave it just like that. Crop it, maybe a little bit more. Crop it there. Trying to see. A lot of times when you focus on something this close and then you're trying to line it up here, you'll start seeing these vertical lines kind of take an outward turn depending on on the lens that was used. You can fix that in Photoshop with the liquefy tool. We'll pull it into Photoshop and see if I can fix it real quick. If not, then we'll just leave it alone and just it's not that serious. So I'm gonna apply RLP01. And in this case, I mean, I really don't even have to apply that. What I can do is just go over here, go back into the library, develop, and then copy these settings, copy everything, because it was in the same exposure, the same light, and just apply that, paste the settings right there, and then make minor adjustments from there. And ultimately, I think all it is that needs to be adjusted is the luminance on the oranges. And I think that looks good. We'll pull it into Photoshop and see if we can liquefy these and just kind of straighten them up a little bit. Sorry, it's just taking a second. Alright, so let's go up here to liquefy. And let's see. And it can be kind of a pain in the butt. And you have to kind of reduce your brush size. I can't tell if that looks straight or not. I mean, if it's that important, it's probably not that important. I just really wanted to show you the tool itself, in case you haven't ever used it. It's still a little crooked. I don't know. Maybe something like that. You can always just tweak with it just a little bit just to see what happens, and then from there just crop down a little bit. And you can't really tell. So like I said, it's kind of up to you. I just really wanted to show you the tool. I kind of like the original just because it gives a little bit more room on this side before that pole begins. And you technically didn't have to, I wouldn't have had to crop it. I could have just filled, you know, did content aware or something like that and filled in the canvas. So I'll stop this video after this one right here, and then we'll continue on the next video. So you can see here's your original. The neons were a little bit blown out, and I think I know the color of what this should be and what it shouldn't be, but ultimately I decided to I straightened it up. And really what I was watching in here was this vertical line right here in the door, the automatic doors. Right? So, and then there I cropped up. What I was looking for here was just framing evenly between Flo's Cafe. So I framed it as close as I could, and I cropped there, and I think that crop works nicely. Still read everything. I applied this preset. What I ended up doing is taking the exposure way down to recover a lot of that, and then I used my brush and just painted this back in. And that was just adding 0.5 on exposure, and then I upped it a little bit, up the shadows just a little bit as well. And then from there I'm going to drop, I think it's the aquas down, the saturation of the aquas a little bit. You can kind of see if we turn them up, if we turn them down. I want to turn them down a little bit. Let's look what the blues look like too. I might drop the blues just a little bit too. And think I'm going to drop those down as well. So I think that kind of turned out fairly nice. Maybe I'm going to drop them, put them back up actually. I think that turned out fairly nice. It would have been, obviously you can take this into Photoshop and restore a lot of this other stuff and not have me adjusting the aquas or the blues affect anything up here, but just for the sake of understanding what I was looking at when I edited it really quick, this is kind of what came to mind. I wanted to see the crop and how I particularly framed that photograph. So you can see this was my original edit, and then this is actually the one that I just did. So it changed a little bit, but ultimately I still think both of them are nice. I think on this one I would still drop out those aquas a little bit more. So hopefully that's helpful. That's the first three. I'll do another video and we can talk about any questions that you have. Before I do the next video, I would like you to, if you have time, just watch it and shoot me a message or anything like that that says, hey, show me this, show me that, I like this, I don't like that. It doesn't matter. You're not going to offend me if you don't like the way that I do something. But hopefully maybe I'll be able to show you a different technique to achieve the, something similar to whatever it is that you're looking for. So have a good day. Thanks.